Hello everyone and welcome back to my tutorial series. So this episode is going to be all about the camera system. So we're going to have a UI that we can click on to go to the different cameras in the level. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to come into the FNAF folder and we're going to create a new blueprint. It's going to be the camera manager. We can drag this into the world. This doesn't need a mesh or anything. It's just going to sit in the world and handle all the camera stuff. Okay, so let's open it up and let's get started with this. So this is going to hold all the information for the cameras, like what cameras are in the world. So what we're going to do is create a new variable. I'm going to call this cameras. And it's going to be of type camera. So if we search camera actor here, and we want to come up to the top right, the variable type, and change it to an array like this. And that just means we can have multiple cameras in this array instead of just like multiple of these. So the way we do that is, let's say we've got 4 cameras. So you got to remember in Unreal, even though it says 0, arrays start at 0. So you can see here we've got 4 array elements. So this means this can hold 4 cameras. We can click the little eyeball here to make it instance editable. And now if we go back into the level and click on the camera manager, you can see here now we have this cameras and we can select. So what I've done is I've put some cameras in the world and we can go and see them. So if I go to unlit, oh no, I haven't put the cameras yet. Sorry. Let's put the cameras in. So actually we can stay on lit. So I've changed the level a bit and I've put some lights in and I've put some characters in just so there's something to look at on the cameras. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to search camera. No. Camera. And we want the camera actor. What we can do is we can either move it just like this, or we can actually right click it and go to pilot. So this, we are now piloting the camera. What we can do is find a nice spot. So maybe there's a nice camera spot. Once we've found it, we can click this eject button up here, and now the camera is in that position. So let's do it again. Let's just duplicate this camera. So we can control D, and then we can right click on it and pilot this one. So this one I think we will do like here, like this, and then we can eject. And just to make that a little better, let's just copy one of these manis, oops, and then put them in that area. And oh, I pressed delete instead of end. And what we can do is we can click on this camera and we can pin this here. Now we can see exactly what the camera sees. Say if we did something like that, there we go, and then we can unpin that. Let's add another camera. Let's add a camera maybe here, this hallway. So we do the same again. We can search camera. We can pilot it, and then we can fly around here. There's another spot, and then the last one we will do here. We'll do like a camera. We will pilot said camera, and we'll do sort of like a creepy look. Maybe like this. Let's do maybe something like that. There we go. Something like that. And then we'll turn that slightly. So then we sort of, no, I think it's more creepy like that. So now we have those cameras. What we can do is we can now assign them to that variable. So I'm just going to make this as unlit. And we're going to find here the camera manager. And we're going to say camera 1 is that camera. We want camera 2 to be the camera over here. Where have I put it? Here. Here. Camera 2 is here. Camera 3 is going to be the camera here. And then camera 4 can be the one here. Like that. So now this camera manager has access to all those cameras. So let's make it work, basically. So the first thing we are actually going to do is we are going to go to the player character, because we need to add a event dispatcher on here. And we're just going to add one called open camera, like so. And this is, we're just going to do for now keyboard X, and then we're just going to call that. This is just so we have a button for now to call the camera open. Obviously, once we make the UI of the actual game, so it'll be more like the Five Nights at Freddy's game, then that will be moved to the UI system. But for now, we're just going to do it here. So back in the camera manager, when we begin play, we need to get access to the player character. So for that, we're going to get actor of class. Like this. Oh, actually, for this, I think we can do cast to first person character. It should be fine to just cast here once and get player character. Like this. We're going to check if it is valid. Just on the off chance that it's not, we're going to do a delay, and then we're going to do the question again. So this just makes sure that if for some reason the player is not valid, it's not going to crash out. Now we have that, we're going to bind event to open camera. Yep, there we go. And then we're going to do a custom event and call this open we'll just do it camera open. Okay. The next thing is we need to create a widget. So we're just going to quickly create it here. So user interface, widget, WPP, and then camera changer. And in here, we're going to create widget, camera changer, right click and promote to a variable. And we're going to call this the camera changer widget. Now we have this, we can move it over here. Bring in the camera changer widget, right click and convert to a validated get. We had to do this first so we could get access to this widget. Okay, so if it's not valid, which means if the widget is not on the screen, we're going to do this. We're going to create the widget and then we're going to set the widget here. Once we do that, for now, we are going to set input mode to game and UI. This is just because we're using a key press. When we do the actual setting up of the system, this won't matter. But for now, this is what we're going to do. Play controller, we're going to get player controller, and we're going to pop that in there. And the widget in focus, we can hook up there. Next, on the get player controller, we can show mouse cursor. And we can just click yes. Okay, now we're going to make some more events. So this event we're going to call switch camera, this event dispatcher. And we're going to need back to player. So switch camera, we need a input. So on the event dispatchers, at the top right here, you can click a new parameter. We need an integer, and we're going to call that camera. Like this. The back to player, we don't need anything. So once we've done this, we're just going to then bind these. We're going to pull them in and say bind. So we can bind here, and then we can bind back to player like this. So switch camera, we are going to do a custom event called swap camera. The back to player, I'm going to do another custom event called return player. So let's do the switch the camera one first. For this one, what we're going to do is when we call swap camera, we are just going to do a we're just going to grab the array of cameras. We're going to do a get, plug in that to there. From here, we'll just do an is valid just to make sure the array is valid. If it is, we can grab the output here and set view target. Oh, we need the player controller. Get player controller. And then set view target with blend. Like this. The new view target is going to be the camera here. And that's all we need for that. When we return to player, what we need to do here is we need to grab the camera change widget. We remove from parent. We then set that to nothing. So we remove the reference and then we call back to player. Like that. Okay, so now we have that. We need to go back into the first person character and we're going to do a begin play. We're going to get actor of class and we need the camera manager. Like before, we do is valid and we say is not valid. We do a delay again and we return back. If it is valid, we are going to get the actor of class's return value and bind event to back to player. So this is just going to take us back to the player itself. We do a custom event we call return control. And then we get player controller, set view target with blend. The new view target will be self. Then what we want to do is, because we've removed the UI, we're going to set input mode game only. And plug in the play controller again. And then finally, show mouse cursor. Like that. This is the logic for getting a hold of the camera manager. And then when we press the button to go back to the player, we just set the camera back here. The camera manager just gets a reference to the player just so that we can bind an event here. Right. The next thing is the actual UI itself. So we're going to do that next. So in our camera changer, we're going to add a canvas panel. And then we're going to add a, let's say a vertical box. And then we're just going to put it over here. And then we need buttons. So we need as many buttons as we have for our cameras. So let's just create the button. So all it is a button with some text on it, and the vertical box we will set size to content like that. So let's do like camera 1, and then all we're going to do is we're going to on the button padding bottom set 30, and then we're just going to duplicate the button. And we're going to change this to camera 2, camera 3, and then camera 4. We're going to add another button, and then for now, size the content again. We're just going to type this as return player. We will make this all look nice, but this is just to get the basic system set up. Okay, now in Unreal 5.6, they've changed buttons to you need to click is variable for them to be clickable here, as you can see. If the way you would do these is you make sure you name these like BTN underscore camera 1, and then BTN camera 2, BTN camera 3. Let's just copy that to make it easier. Camera 4, and then BTN. Let's go return. Just so we know which ones are which. Okay, so in the here, what we're going to do is we're going to have some event dispatchers. We're going to add button pressed and back button. Button pressed. We are going to have a, we just double check. So button pressed, we are going to plus integer, and this is the button value. This just means that when we click a button, it tells the manager what button we have pressed. So we're going to add a custom event called camera button clicked. And this is just going to call the button pressed. And we can drag the button value into the button clicked. So that means if we click button camera 1 unclicked, camera 2 unclicked, camera 3 unclicked, camera 4 unclicked, what we can do is just call camera button clicked, and we can say 0, because remember 0 is an array value. So 1, and then 2, 2, and 3, like this. So now we have this. So in the camera manager, what we need to do now is, one sec. Okay, so I made a mistake here. Completely forgot when I was doing it. So we don't actually need these two here. So we can get rid of these two there. These actually come from the camera changer widget, and we use these on the ones we've just created. So we call button pressed, the bind event on button pressed, and that is actually the swap the camera. Yeah. And then we need a bind event to back button, which is that event there, like that. that was my bad. I have another version of the project open just so I can keep a check, and I mistake. So yeah, that was my fault. I apologize. But luckily it's a quick change and you had all this stuff ready to go anyway. One more thing in here, we need to get the camera changer widget, and we can do a viewport, add the viewport like that. So that's all good. Camera changer, we still need to add the return button. So when we click on that, what this will do is just call back to the back button. So we'll just say call back button like this. Now if we try it, we have an issue with light actor. Okay, this is because I used light actors that we made for the doors somewhere else. So all I did was add an is valid and connected that just so I could use the light somewhere else. Okay, so here we are. If we press X, we see these. So if I press camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, and then return to player, we're back here. So what we need to do, or what we can do just to hide that, is we can grab this and then just turn that off, like that. So camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4. We have our camera switching. What you can do then as well is if you wanted it, so once you're at the camera, you want to do any events on the camera, like you want to move it or whatever, then you would be able to just add a new button and then just, because you've got a camera manager, you could add a button and then just, oh, there we go, just be able to get which camera you're currently on, which is worth doing. And then, so for example, if I'll quickly do that here. We might add that at another point. So we can grab the button value and we can promote to a variable, and we can just say current camera like that, and then do that. So nothing has changed really. All it means now is when we have this, we can now, for example, grab this, grab these, and start doing things to the camera, because we have which camera we're currently looking at, and then we have this. We can do events like set actor rotation, for example. So that is everything to get a rough camera system running. The UI obviously isn't very pretty, but that will come later on. But we've got like a fast swapping camera. So there we go. I hope this has been useful, and I'll see you in the next video.